You know, it's wild when you think about it, like ordering something online, like
Uh-huh.
a big piece of equipment, let's say, or something.
Right.
We don't even think twice about the journey it took to actually get to us.
Yeah.
So today we're diving into that world, the import-export world,
Okay.
specifically for the big stuff, machinery, equipment, even ships and planes.
Right.
And we're using insights from RoleCatcher, the career experts over there,
Great.
to help us all understand this really fascinating field.
I think what's so interesting about this particular area is we kind of get caught up in the scale of the products.
Yeah, the size of it
The
all.
ships, the machinery, all of that.
Right, yeah.
And it's easy to forget about the people who make it all happen seamlessly.
Right, yeah.
And those are the import-export specialists.
Right.
They're the ones moving those gears of global commerce, really.
So it's not just about like rubber stamping paperwork.
No, not at all.
There's a lot more to it than it seems like at first glance.
It's high stakes, it's fast-paced, and with businesses going global like they are, it's only becoming more important.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, picture this trying to coordinate a shipment of those massive wind turbine parts
Oh, wow, yeah.
across continents,
Yeah.
navigating all those aircraft import regulations.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
We're talking millions of dollars worth of equipment here, strict deadlines, and the understanding that even a tiny delay can have huge ripple effects
Oh, yeah, for sure.
across the globe.
Wow. Okay, that definitely sounds way more intense.
Oh, yeah.
Than just, stamping some forms.
Right.
So for those of us who are picturing ourselves in this world,
Okay.
what does an import-export specialist in this sector,
Yeah.
what do they actually do?
Well, it's a role that can take you from the office to warehouses to even right there at the port.
Oh, wow.
Imagine you're working with clients all over the world,
Yeah.
talking to customs officials and making sure these massive shipments follow all those international regulations.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Mhm.
It sounds like you need to have a ton of specialized knowledge to handle all of that.
You need a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
You really have to be fluent in things like tariffs and shipping routes.
Wow.
That's the kind of expertise we're talking about.
Really?
You need to know import-export regulations like the back of your hand,
Mm-hmm.
customs procedures, and all the documentation that goes along with it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's essential in this field.
So it's more than just memorizing rules.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to understand how international trade really works.
Exactly. You have to understand the how and the why, and
Okay.
it doesn't end there.
Okay.
Import-export specialists are the link between suppliers,
Right.
freight forwarders who are figuring out the logistics,
Right.
and customs brokers
Mm-hmm.
who are dealing with all the ins and outs of import laws.
Yeah.
Think of it as a really high-stakes form of international project management,
Oh, wow.
where instead of deliverables, you've got these giant cargo containers
I like that. Yeah.
coming and going.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
It's a balancing act for sure.
it is.
You're not just a rule expert.
Right.
You're a master communicator, a
Yeah.
negotiator, and you've got to be good with logistics.
That's it. You have to be good at it all and ready for anything.
Wow.
Because here's the thing.
Okay.
Delays are going to happen.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's just part of the job.
Right.
Weather issues,
Mm.
regulations changing, even surprise logistical problems,
Oh, yeah.
they're all going to pop up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Import-export specialists have to be expert problem solvers,
Okay.
always coming up with creative ways to keep those goods moving across borders.
So it's like a high-stakes game of chess.
Yes,
But instead of moving pieces, you're moving this huge machinery around the globe.
exactly. That's a great way to look at it.
Wow.
And what's really cool is that technology is changing how this whole industry works.
Oh, really? How so?
RoleCatcher talks about this a lot, how automation and digital tools are everywhere now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're using software to streamline everything. Tracking systems that give you real-time updates, and even platforms to automate customs clearance.
Wow.
This isn't your grandparents' import-export business anymore.
So it's not.
This is a high-tech field that needs a new kind of specialist.
That's fascinating.
It is.
So it's not just knowing the rules, it's about the tech too, huh? What kind of software are we even talking about here?
Well, think about it. You're
Yeah.
dealing with these huge shipments of machinery, right?
Right.
Hundreds of parts,
Mm.
multiple transportation legs, and customs regulations that seem to change every other day.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Software helps you keep track of every little detail, see problems before they happen, and make smart decisions really quickly.
So it's like air traffic control, but for cargo ships and planes,
Exactly.
filled with bulldozers and cranes instead of people?
Yeah, like that, but with a lot more paperwork.
Okay, so we're seeing this field needs a special kind of person, for sure. But if someone is up for the challenge, what does it actually take to land a job in this world?
Well, it might sound intimidating, but let's break it down. What are employers really looking for?
Okay, let's do it.
First, a strong foundation of knowledge is key.
Makes sense.
I'm talking about really knowing your stuff when it comes to international trade laws,
Okay.
customs regulations, and the specific ins and outs of dealing with this kind of equipment. Machinery, ships, aircraft, you name it.
So it's like a niche within a niche.
Yeah, you could say that.
What does that look like in reality, though?
Okay, let's say you're importing a massive construction crane.
Okay.
You need to understand the technical stuff about the crane itself,
Right.
the safety rules for moving it, and the exact permits needed to bring it into a specific country.
Wow. So you're not just moving boxes, you're moving like a whole operation.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than it looks.
Right. Okay, so you need to know the rule book backwards and forwards.
You got it.
But it can't just be about memorizing regulations, right?
You're right. It's bigger than that. You're like a bridge between different countries and cultures.
Oh, how so?
Think about it. You're working with suppliers,
Yeah.
clients, customs officials, logistics providers,
Tons of different people.
each with their own priorities and ways of doing things.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So top-notch communication and negotiation skills are non-negotiable in this job.
You got to be able to talk to anyone
Exactly.
and get what you need.
Yeah, and sometimes that means getting creative with solutions.
Like what?
Well, imagine you need to get a shipment of time-sensitive manufacturing equipment through customs.
Okay, time sensitive, so the pressure's on.
Exactly. And there's a problem holding things up. You
Uh-uh.
need to be able to explain the situation clearly to the officials,
I see.
understand where they're coming from, and still get what your client needs.
So diplomacy and a cool head are key.
Absolutely. And we haven't even gotten to the tech side of things yet.
Right on top of everything else.
RoleCatcher emphasizes tech skills a lot.
Yeah, they really do.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
You're going to be using software tracking systems, online platforms.
It's how everything in import-export gets done now.
Exactly. So you're not just dealing with paperwork anymore.
Right, it's all digital now.
You're managing these complex online workflows.
What's an example of that?
Okay, picture this.
Uh-huh.
You're tracking a shipment of aircraft parts in real time,
Okay.
and your system is giving you up-to-the-minute location data, weather updates, even potential delays.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is pretty cool.
So you can get ahead of problems and keep everyone informed.
Exactly. That's the goal.
So much is happening behind the scenes to get those parts where they need to be.
It's a team effort for sure.
What about certifications? Are those necessary to break into this field?
Well, they're not always required, but they definitely give you an edge.
They show you're serious.
Exactly. They show you've gone the extra mile to learn and grow.
Okay, that makes sense.
The Certified Custom Specialist credential is a big one.
What does that tell employers?
It proves you really understand the complexities of customs regulations and procedures.
Like a stamp of approval.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got the knowledge and skills to handle import-export compliance.
That's the idea.
To summarize, we're looking at a career that needs a love for global trade, a knack for problem-solving, great communication, and those all-important tech skills.
You got it.
But what about the long game? Where can this career take you in terms of growth and earning potential? So we've talked about the skills and the tech, but what about actually moving up in this career? What does that look like in the import-export world?
That's where it gets really interesting. Import-export has a lot of paths for growth. As you get more experience and build your expertise, you might naturally move into a management role.
Oh, okay. So you could be the one leading a team of specialists, overseeing those bigger, more complex projects, and making the decisions that affect a company's entire global trade operation.
Right. Imagine you're leading the import-export division for a company that makes agricultural equipment.
Okay, like tractors and stuff.
Exactly. You'd be responsible for getting that equipment to farmers all over the world,
Wow.
making sure it arrives on time and meets all the regulations. That's a real impact right there.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so you could move into management. What about getting even more specialized within this niche?
Now you're thinking strategically. There are tons of ways to specialize in this field. Let's say you really love the challenge of aerospace equipment or maritime law.
Yeah, right, very specific.
You could become the expert in navigating the import-export process for aircraft parts, or the logistics of shipping those massive cargo ships.
That's a good point. With global trade getting more and more complex, I bet those specialized skills are super valuable.
You got it. And here's another option you could specialize in a specific region.
Like how so?
Imagine you become a master of trade with Southeast Asia.
Okay.
All the cultural differences, the rules and regulations, and the ins and outs of logistics in that region.
You'd be the one companies call when they want to do business there.
Exactly. And once you build that level of expertise, you're not just an import-export specialist anymore.
Or more than that.
You're a strategic consultant advising businesses on how to enter new markets, how to minimize risks, and how to navigate the world of international trade.
Basically, you become indispensable because you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in global trade.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher points out that there are related career paths that branch out from this niche, too.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, you could become a customs compliance specialist.
What do they do?
They make sure companies are following all those import-export regulations and not risking any penalties.
So like an investigator for international trade?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
They make sure everything's above board.
Interesting. What else is there?
You could be an international logistics coordinator.
Okay, I've heard of that one. What do they do again?
They're all about efficiency. They find the best routes for those big shipments, negotiate with carriers, and make sure the supply chain is running smoothly.
Gotcha. So it's a fast-paced role that needs both logistic skills and knowledge of global trade.
You got it. It's a lot to juggle.
It sounds like this career path has a ton of different directions you can go in, each with its own challenges and rewards.
For sure.
Ugh.
There's something for everyone.
Okay, so for our listener who's ready to take that first step, what are some concrete things they can do right now?
RoleCatcher has some great advice. First, internships. Hands-on experience is crucial, even if it's not the most glamorous job at first.
Yeah, you've got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. It's how you learn the ropes, see how things work in the real world, and develop those essential skills.
Get your foot in the door, prove yourself, and learn from the pros.
Exactly. And don't forget about networking. Go to industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn.
It's all about making those connections.
It really is. Those relationships can open doors for you.
It's not just what you know, it's who you know.
That's the truth. And here's a great tip from RoleCatcher. Build your story.
Your story.
Yeah, even if you're just starting out, highlight projects where you've demonstrated your import-export skills.
So even small successes can be powerful.
Exactly. Did you make a logistics process more efficient in a past job? Talk about that.
I see. So you need to show your passion for this field and how you can contribute.
You got it. And remember, resources like RoleCatcher are there to help you every step of the way.
What do they offer?
They have interview prep guides, resources for building skills, and even career path mapping tools to help you figure out your goals.
It's like having a roadmap for your import-export career.
Exactly. They've got you covered.
This has been a really eye-opening look at this field. Big thanks to RoleCatcher for the guidance.
Of course. Happy to help.
And to you, our listener, for joining us on this journey into the world of import-export. Until next time, keep those gears turning.